Do you remember where you were when you got the news that President Trump was shot and another person was killed on July 13th of 2024, Butler, Pennsylvania? Wow, what a shocking day. What an incredible moment. A lot of bravery, a lot of incompetence, and yeah, death and injury. But I thought at least after the first assassination attempt, that would be the only assassination attempt because, well, security would be enhanced hugely, right? And then 8 weeks later, a second assassination attempt. And that one really came close, a lot closer than I think we've been led to believe. So something is up, right? Now, after that, they cannot be messing around with security. I think they are. I think they're cutting corners. Now, President Trump, as a result of this and some other factors, took the unprecedented step of having the inauguration inside. Unprecedented, I take that back. It happened once. Ronald Reagan was inaugurated indoors for the second inauguration. That's because it was really cold. This was because they were worried about more assassination attempts, drones from Iran, who knows. Donald Trump is hugely popular, but he's also hated by many. And Iran, other countries want him dead, unquestionably. And they are plotting and they are planning and they are perhaps in the execution phase right now. And he is in the White House. We presume he's secure. How else could they get him? How else could they perhaps get the brand Trump? Trump Tower? Trump Tower is his bread and butter, right? I mean, that's how he made his name. Actually, the Hyatt Hotel first, but he cares so much about that building, is one of his big projects. That's where he launched his presidential campaign. It's synonymous with Donald Trump, right? And he actually lived there. He still has an apartment there, a mega mansion actually in the sky. So that's why I was so disturbed, surprised, and saddened that Trump Tower was taken over today by a bunch of pro-Hamas wannabe terrorists. The lobby of Trump Tower seized by pro-Hamas, very foolish people. And you know what they were in support of? This crazy guy, Khalil Mahmoud, who hates Israel, thinks people who support Israel should have their heads blown off, shuts down American streets. He's not an American citizen, and it's in the works to deport him, which is what he deserves. That's what they're angry about. That's what they got arrested for in protest of this guy's treatment. So they go in there, they sit down, they try to stay. Now, granted, it really wasn't violent, and they didn't break anything, but you can't take over a public space. You know, believe it or not, the lobby of Trump Tower is considered, I think, privately owned, but publicly accessible. A lot of amazing things have happened there, including the, debut of President Trump's campaign, June 16th, 2015. He came down that escalator, and that very scene where he launched his campaign, I believe, is a target, right? Now, see all the media kind of swarmed in there? I'm in the middle. I was there that day, kind of by a fluke. That's me in the yellow circle. That's President Trump on the blue stage. Look at what that precious ground became today. A horrible pit of hate. That should not have happened. How did it happen? I want to know. Take a look at those people running around one more time. And actually, they're not running. You see, they're sitting. This is what the Democrats do, the liberals. They occupy, right? Occupy Wall Street. They didn't want to leave there. They want to camp out. They want to prevent anybody else from using this stuff. It's kind of curious. They call it an insurrection, right? They were trying to take over the Capitol on January 6th. Not true. Nobody sat down. Take a look at the video from January 6th. You can't find anybody camping out or refusing to go. Nobody refused to go, actually. Yes, there were skirmishes with cops when cops, we firmly believe, started the violence unfairly, perhaps illegally, in some cases definitely illegally. You see anybody sitting down trying to occupy the Capitol? We're not going to go. Just an interesting thing, right? What they say is an insurrection, what is not an insurrection. Something else about Trump Tower, back to that for a moment. It's open to the public. Drop the banner for a moment. You see those two cops? They're looking in the opposite, one direction, but not the other direction. The place is not guarded significantly enough. Open to the public from morning to night. Now, when President Trump is actually in Trump Tower, and he does visit New York from time to time, security is significantly enhanced, but that place is not impregnable. And I find it pretty weird that we can go into that building without being searched or scrutinized. Could you do that at Barack Obama's house? Could you go into the first floor of his house, even if he wasn't there? Of course not. Now, there are businesses there. There's a Gucci store. There's a coffee shop. There's all kinds of things in there. But it's a very significant landmark, and I think bad people might want to do something to it as a symbolic gesture, and people could get hurt. You think there would be security at Trump Tower. I went over there today just to check things out for myself. Folks, the Secret Service, the NYPD, somebody's got to do something about this. This is 8 hours after those maniacs took over the atrium. This is what happened. Trump Tower, I love this place, but maybe, I don't know, is this adequate? I just feel it's a little bit too accessible. And those elevators, they lead to the offices of the Trump Organization. Now, there is some security here. And watch me walk right by them to the escalator that Donald Trump rode down the day he declared for president. And that's the area. That's where that big speech happened. Am I being nitpicky? I don't think so. Should I be calling attention to this? Yes, I should, because I don't want anything to happen to that building. I don't want to have anything to happen to the people who live there, who work there, and something must be done. This place is synonymous with Donald Trump, and I have been there when the president's there, and quite frankly, it's not secure enough then. How did they get President Trump the first time? How did they shoot him in the head? The then director of the Secret Service had one of the most pathetic excuses I could ever imagine, but let's imagine. Remember that word.
I've thought long and hard about this. I think this was a failure of imagination, a failure to imagine that we actually do live in a very dangerous world where people do actually want to do harm to our protectees.
I think that's what the Secret Service should be thinking about like all the time. Amazing they weren't thinking about it right up until July 13th. Well, imagine this. One of these bad guys comes in there with a bomb, a machine gun, who knows what. And if they could do it today, I think there's a way they could possibly stage something inside while Trump's away and then do something when he comes back. What I saw today is totally unacceptable, intolerable, and must be changed immediately. At least search through our bags or something, right? A magnetometer. If you go to the movies in Israel, right, just with your friends, not the prime minister, they're going to search you. That should happen at Trump Tower. Please. Next, please. So that is an auto pen. It does the signing, it does the drawing, it does whatever you want for you. Rumor has it was actually invented by Thomas Jefferson. Could that be the case? Well, they're used all the time for form letters, right? Corporations, presidents. But when they're, say, sending a letter to the Boy Scouts or sending a letter to, I don't know, the Daughters of the American Revolution, it's okay for a form letter then. But when you're signing a presidential document that's important, a declaration of something, a treaty, a pardon, I think it deserves the president's real signature. Joe Biden was not doing that, apparently. Take a look at these two very important signatures for executive action, taken, I think, 2 years apart. The signature is identical. August 11th, 2022, right? That is clearly it's an auto pen. It's an auto pen. The good people at the Heritage Foundation have been tracking this thing, and they looked at the pardons that he issued to General Milley and to his family, and they all match up. Have you seen this yet? Boom. Yep. It can't be the same, especially with Joe. Joe's kind of shaky, right? Everybody's autograph varies a little bit from time to time. And yeah, as we go through it, these are very, very important. The Biden family pardon, auto pen. Next, please. Dr. Fauci pardon and automatic. J6 committee, they all got, including, you know who? What's her name again? Liz Cheney. And whoever the hell Lundergarn is in the middle. I don't know about that guy. And General Milley, perhaps worst of all, right up there with Liz Cheney. There are questions about the validity of these pardons. It's actually been discussed before. There are certain bills signed by Auto Pen, and this issue has been raised under previous presidents. It's never been brought to court. It's about that time. We'll have some experts coming up to tell us what the real deal is here. It's amazing. Joe signs documents in private, possibly not at all, or on the day he gets inaugurated with the mask on. Remember, he signed those executive orders? Well, he wore the mask because I think he was doing something that, you know, bad guys do. Robbers wear masks. Donald Trump did it in full view, does it in full view of everybody. Here I am signing the January 6th pardon. Here I am letting this guy go from prison. Hey, everybody, take a look. That's my signature. This is transparency. Democrats talk about it. Donald Trump actually does it. All right. Now, Michelle Obama's turn. Why is she so angry all the time? Why is she so not into America? America has been very, very, very good to her, but she seems to be always disappointed in pretty much everything. Even though, how much money has she been paid? This is a very conservative estimate, $70 million. There are other estimates that say the Obamas together are worth approximately $1 billion. How that's going to be divided up if they split, who knows? There's rumors to that effect. You never want to get this kind of money if you don't deserve it. They signed a huge deal with all kinds of companies for content. Michelle Obama, their momentous new project, content, movies, documentaries, podcasts. They stink at this stuff. They are not good. And the world is finally figuring that out. So she does a podcast, a brand new podcast with her brother, Craig Robinson. I used to think he was a decent guy, but apparently he's as crazy as the family he married into. Take a look at this podcast. Would anybody who told them that they should do this in public? Watch.
You and me, we were physically close growing up.
Remember when we used to share a bedroom?
Of course, that was our life growing up. We shared the same room until you went to high school, right?
That's right.
Well, let's first just recall how small the apartment we lived in. You know, it seemed like it was huge, but it was essentially 2 bedrooms, right?
No, it was 1 bedroom.
Well, that little offshoot bedroom that mom and dad stayed in, you would consider that a bedroom.
But that was the only bedroom. The room we were in was actually the living room. And the living room what we called the living room was actually the dining room.
Huh, okay.
Okay. This is like the small talk you have before you start doing the show, okay? And not only is it boring as anything, it's not true. This is all made up to seem more relatable or something. Let's pretend we lived in an apartment. She lived in a house. She absolutely lived in that house right there. It's 2 stories. I know that because I got a tour of that house during her silly, equally boring movie on Netflix. I had to watch it for work. And yeah, she toured that house, upstairs, downstairs, dining room, living room, all that stuff. But they lie about it. They are really psychopathic people.